Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 114. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for news recap number 162. So just a quick summary of things to go over that I'll go over that from the past week. Actually, it was a slow week on the content creators, but there was another video about some Star Atlas real estate. Star Atlas actually released a user interface update to the Sage game. There was a update on the fleet score for the fleet rentals, and then there was the Atlas Brew that occurred, and actually there was also the Keepers. But before I get that, just a couple of quick things about things I'm working on in Star Atlas. First, I guess I've failed to mention each time that additionally on my website at intergalacticherald.com, I do have other things. So it's pretty much a Star Atlas resource website. So I do have the, what I call Getting Started with Star Atlas guide that starts with actually teaching a little bit about how to get into crypto and set up wallets and move money around. And then I do have a number of directories of different Star Atlas resources from other content creators, builders, and other tools that are out there. So that's all there. And if you are interested in a Star Atlas guild, I do have a directory of that too. So you can check all that out at intergalacticherald.com. Also, I do have a Star Atlas merch store. It's open for business, not a lot of products, but it's at intergalacticgear.com. Have some mugs and wall art. But I do have a merch survey and love to get any feedback you have on merch you might be interested in. And then lastly, I am slowly developing a kind of Star Atlas gamer community. So this would be for people who want to play Star Atlas, don't want to join a guild, maybe don't find this Star Atlas Discord and the kind of chat interface is interesting. So this will be much more of a community with threaded discussions, email alerts, and things like that. And you can check that out at intergalacticcoalition.com. So let me go ahead and get into the content. As I kind of mentioned, it was kind of a slow week from the content creator perspective. Actually, I saw later a tweet from Beyond the Horizon. They was kind of taking a little bit of break, spending some time with family and things like that. AFIA did put out their weekly newsletter, so that was great if you wanted to kind of catch up on the past week there too. One video did come out, and this was a kind of a continuation of one I mentioned week before. Falkor and the Empress did another kind of real estate video of the pretty sure it was the Oni Central Space Station. And this time, instead of looking at the individual types of habitats or habs, this was actually the neighborhoods. I guess you can teleport. That's one of the things in the showroom. You can kind of move quickly through a teleportation feature. And actually, it was really great. Again, just things I just wasn't aware of, that all this kind of parts of the showroom exist. So great video. Again, you can find a link to it on my news recap. Go to intergalacticherald.com, look for news recap number 162. One of the other cool things they put at the end was a map. And again, it's a map like you would expect. So I think they kind of zoomed out really far with one of the spaceships and then kind of did a capture the screen and then wrote around which the individual districts. So yeah, it was really kind of cool. And again, like I mentioned last week, it really, to me, starts making the game feel more real in the sense that, yeah, there is actually not space as in, outer space, but land space anyways. The other thing that came from the Star Atlas team was the Sage. So again, this is the browser version, did get a UI upgrade. And I admit, I don't remember hearing that it was coming or even that it came. Sort of was just catching up on Star Atlas Discord messages and finding people saying things. So they did mention, actually at the Atlas Brew, where they brought it up, that it was supposed to be more mobile friendly. So I'm not really sure. So just kind of logged in and lo and behold, everything looked different. So not much other information to share because there wasn't any. So also as mentioned at the Atlas Brew that the fleet rental system had a score put on it. And if I remember correctly, and I think I may have forgot to actually put a link to this. Oh, I remember why I didn't put a link to it, because it wasn't linkable. So in the Star Atlas Discord, in one of the announcements, they did have a PDF version of what the scores mean, but again, hard to link inside a Discord. So again, that was a minor improvement to the fleet rental system. I did mention there was a Star Atlas lore meeting. Again, if you want to find a link to that, check out my news recap. Star Atlas TV recorded that. As I've mentioned in the past, I'm totally glad Star Atlas has lore. It's hard for me to get into it. But again, just like some people are really in the economy, some people are really in the lore, some people are really into photography, some people are really into, they're very broad swath of things that Star Atlas can be. It's, again, just unfortunately not something that I'm into. But if you're into it, there was another Lore Keepers meeting. So the Community Atlas Brew occurred, and they had a different topic, which was play to earn. Now, I have to admit, I went in thinking, oh, they're going to start talking about the new free-to-play game, which I guess technically isn't play to earn. Again, free to play, play to earn. Okay, guess they're not the same thing. But anyways, so this was much more of a discussion in general about the play to earn concept, which was cool. But because it was play to earn, they actually had one of the Econ team members, Gareth, I think. I got to get names better. But there too, and giving some perspective as somebody who's an economic analyst. I'm pretty sure economy analyst. I'm not sure his title is. Anyways, it was really cool because he's always on the economic forum too. So they kind of went through different aspects of it. And one thing that was interesting was they were kind of talking about a definition for it. And again, this concept of Web 2.5, where Web 3, I guess, is Web 2 is the e-commerce, social media type part of the web. And I guess Web 1 was just, there was a web. And then Web 3 is supposed to be more of using the internet for blockchain and virtual reality or augmented reality. And yeah, I think those are the big keys. So kind of saying that maybe there's something in the middle there that you can kind of add some of the things like blockchain, but still kind of be in the traditional gaming space. Talked a little bit about the current state. Then they went off on a thing about Ponzi schemes and things. And I saw a few weeks ago some talk on that on Twitter, and I kind of wasn't really sure I understood, and partly because to me Ponzi references a specific thing that occurs where people take advantage of other people and been going on for decades. So I'm not sure if that's what they're referring to in some of these newer games or token launches or whatever. So, but one thing that was interesting as the conversation continued to go, and again, I hope I'm getting his name right, Gareth, said, was that to really be a play to earn or a real economy, that it really needs to mimic real life. And then he went on to kind of explain that. And actually that really resonated with me. And again, I think we have to put this in the context. It may not be that the current Star Atlas economy truly mimics real life, but it's building the foundations of mimicking real life. And that was a very interesting way to frame it, because there are things about real life that require an economy. Go to work, trade your time for money, use that money to pay for what you want, paying for that, let somebody else spend their time to earn that money. And again, that's how the whole economic cycle works. And so I think that was actually a really good way to say that, unlike, again, maybe this is where the Ponzi or the kind of current state where it's an inflated thing where people do something in a game and really there's no reason to do it, but then they get a value. Again, back to the concept of play to earn. So anyways, I thought that was a really great insight. And then they kind of ended the Atlas Brew kind of talking about the future, but future related to Star Atlas play to earn. And I thought there were some really good points. One was that future paths within Star Atlas really need to move to having different ownership options. And unlike where I think we are now, where you can buy a ship and you can have a crew and you can buy a claim stake and you can do all this stuff, in the future, you may just simply buy a claim stake, or you may just simply have a ship or just a crew, and that's your ownership option. And then you have the ability to move forward with that through leveling up and different mechanisms like that. And again, I think those of us who are already playing right now kind of just take for granted that, yeah, I can have a ship and I can buy one, but in the future, obtaining a spaceship would be not the starting point. It would be a longer term goal, which again, I find actually really intriguing, but you got to start someplace. And again, it's just there. The other thing they mentioned about the future was this concept of hyper specialization. And again, you can have a mining ship now, you can have a scanning ship, you could have a fighter ship, you could have all these ships, you could have crew, but in the future, you may just simply mine one resource, and that's your part of the real life economy that you use to play to earn. And so again, that's, I think, very kind of keeping us focused on what is the future, and that this isn't what it is. And the last thing they mentioned, I think it really kind of sums all this up, is that playing Star Atlas, and I use playing in quotes, is only going to get harder. But again, it goes back to, again, there'll be necessities for specialization. There'll be ownership with future options. But again, this is all to mimic a real life economy. And if we think about it, yeah, it's hard. Life is hard. Now, not saying that doesn't mean the game won't be fun. Better be fun, because nobody wants to have a job in a video game. But it could be moving toward a goal that is something you want to obtain, and you have this option because you can put time or effort in that is still a reward in there. So again, I thought it was actually, I went in thinking of a different concept that they're going to talk about, but came out that, no, this was actually really good. And I think it really, again, keeps framing how we should be thinking about Star Atlas as, and again, I think the term they keep using now is a cyber nation, though I still always, I don't know, I kind of like metaverse, but that's fine too. It's got a bad rap now for sure. But that, it is building the foundation, but creating it with something that could actually sustain and has the potential, though, as someone mentioned, it might not be that we just play this game to earn money, but we play because we want to play. And if we happen to earn some stuff that we can then reinvest back into it, I mean, that's still a good thing to do and something people would probably actually enjoy doing. So anyway, so it was a great Atlas brew, and yeah, it was great. So last two sections, kind of thinking about the state of Star Atlas. The biggest change over the past week, of course, was the Sage user interface update. Again, as I kind of mentioned, one that, to the best of my knowledge, there was no advanced warning nor even anything that says, hey, we did this. I did kind of follow through some of the parts on the Star Atlas Discord, and it sounds like they were kind of literally developing it as people came back. So, I mean, that's fine. Star Atlas team's been upfront about building in public, so, not getting notice is not a downside, especially when they were immediately changing things and making it better. So that's all kind of good. I have tried it for a few days now. Unfortunately, one of my ships I was trying to dock just wouldn't dock. So I had to wait a day, and then actually almost a day and a half before finally it seemed to allow me to do things. So again, I'm totally fine. It could have been a bug or something like that. But as I was kind of clicking around and trying to figure things out, I realized that without even realizing it until I did, that this was very RTS-like. And again, if you've listened to my podcast for a while, I know that's kind of the PC gaming that I've come from. And when you click on something, the commands just kind of appear. And so, again, it's very context-based or contextual. I can't think of what you call that thing when you right-click on something in Windows. It's context menu. Yeah, it's just context-based. So that kind of actually did feel good. And then there's little icons, and you click, and it does something. But the one nice thing, and maybe this is where the mobile-friendly comes into, is all the commands kind of stay right around where you click, and it doesn't open up in a menu off to the left. So, again, if you're thinking on a mobile interface, that extra menu structure, I could see where, that just doesn't work on a mobile device. But since they mentioned mobile friendly, I thought we were getting rid of the web-based browser and going to the UE5 version. So again, I'm kind of a little confused on, if you're going to keep it in a web browser, then this makes a lot of sense. But if you're moving to the quote Fleet command within UE5, then why are we developing the web browser? So again, maybe this is for the thing that I thought they're going to talk about, which is the free-to-play version, which I think is browser-based, but not 100% sure. So again, maybe it's like the new interface for that, and they're testing it out. So again, this all may make sense in a while. So, and then the very last thing, obviously, this is a first version and may or may not be, what its intended purpose is. So, but overall, yeah, I mean, it felt fine. Again, change is hard sometimes, but anyways, felt pretty good. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, and I mean, it's cool, but again, we didn't know about it, so it's really hard to think much more. And as of recording time, don't have any of the content creators put out any of their thoughts. So again, I'm kind of just going off a few people in Discord and my own personal experiences with it. So, and then moving to the last section, just want to kind of update you on kind of my journey of playing Star Atlas. So again, just a quick summary. My goal is to craft or redeem a Mamba X. So I've been working through the raw resources, but I picked the first resource that's the most, which was carbon. So still working on completely getting all my spreadsheet strategy calculations done. But in the meantime, I just started moving that carbon back. I actually was able to mine enough on the last go around to get to I think it's 72 million carbon. So I already had moved half of it back in the process of bringing out more ammo and food. So now it's just strictly moving all the carbon back, not taking out any other resources. Pretty sure I mentioned in the last last podcast, but I'll mention again. I did decide to buy an Armstrong Imp Tip, so one of the mining ships. Major reason was they as I was thinking through my strategy, it doesn't require ammo, so that's plus. So it's a specialized ship. And the only other specialized one I had was the repair ship, but no purpose for it. So kind of felt like, take a little bit of my USDC that had been laying around from last time I put money into my wallet and go ahead and get that. So what I actually did is decided after I got the 72 million carbon to send it off to another starbase to do the next biggest volume needed, which was iron ore. I forget. I think it was whichever one, Mud 2. Yeah, anyway, so I sent that one over there. And it was funny. This was the first time I've ever sent a ship from one starbase to another without taking it back to the Central Space Station. And I was like, really? But I'm like, yeah. But of course, there's nothing stopping you from moving anywhere. So again, it was just a weird thing to go someplace else. So anyway, so I moved it out there and set it back up on the Sly Assistant to do a mining loop. And I actually been mining faster than I anticipated. Now, it's not to say that it wasn't supposed to mine faster, because I assume it has a higher mining rate as a mining ship, but it just accumulated things to the point like, wow, I'm already, actually, let me check my notes. Yeah, it's already over 1 million iron ore, and I think I only need to mine 6,200,000. So it's like, that went way faster. So I don't know. Again, I guess I should calculate the mining rate, but again, too many calculations. But anyways, yeah, just kind of cool. So it was there, but I brought on, can't remember if I brought on food. Must have had to bring food, fuel. I don't know. Anyway, so I tried the local market there, and unfortunately didn't have either food or fuel, and so I realized I was going to run out soon. So as an aside, I always check the Galactic Marketplace, and I have a separate spreadsheet where I'm just calculating recording the USDC price of all my ships, partly kind of as not an inventory, but I guess what we'll call it, asset? No. Well, how much they're worth. So, have I recouped my original price or something like that. So, but anyways, I've been kind of over the time kind of curious on a couple other ships just to kind of complete the whole set type of thing. And one of them was the Scud. I think it's Calico. Anyways, plus I think it's a racing ship, and the Stardust team uses a lot in their videos, so they seem to like it. But most of the time it was higher than I wanted it to, and I actually don't think it's sold by the team. I think it was a very limited selection. I forget where, maybe it was the Golden Carnival. I don't remember where it showed up, but it showed up somehow. And so I just randomly was checking it as I was going through recording all the things, and there was a price for sale that seemed way lower than typical. And I don't know, just one of those kind of spontaneous purchases, but I went ahead and bought it. So didn't think of it and kind of just left it in my wallet. But totally forgot about it because I didn't want to create another fleet just to move it out. But anyways, it turned out to be really good because that mining imp tip ran out of fuel, and there was no fuel to buy at that local market. So as much as local markets are cool, assume somebody actually wants to sell something, otherwise it doesn't really do any good. Though I guess I could have actually no, that's a thought. Maybe I could have put an order asking for it. Forgot about that. Anyways, didn't help me, and I didn't want to wait around. So I actually created a new little fleet, i.e. just the Scud, and took some fuel out. And the cool thing is, in addition to cargo, it was close distance, so the fuel that was in its fuel tank, I could leave there too. So I was able to bring some stuff out, and I don't think mining ships use a ton of fuel. So anyway, so that was kind of cool. So really I have three fleets, one big one, the single miner, and then this Scud that's just sitting there doing nothing. But a couple days later, I ran out of food, and actually I think there was food there, so I bought some food. But then I ran out again. I'm like, wait, I got this ship. Why don't I got food back at the Central Space Station in my wallet, so why don't I take that out? So that's what I've been taking out there. So even though that adds to the Solana transactions, which again I was trying to minimize, so why I didn't have multiple fleets, just the one big fleet, I don't know, it just felt like I'm playing a game. I want to do something. So I kind of suspended a little bit of, I'm losing more SOL to have that mining just kind of happening, and then this individual one. But again, it felt more like I was playing a game than truly like, I'll stop this and wait. I just, I want these things to kind of be, and it's part of the automation too. So anyway, so that's what I've been kind of working on. And now I got, moving a bunch of carbon back from the one, and then keep mining the iron ore. And then I got my one little ship that can kind of rescue and send out some cargo if it needs to keep something going. So actually kind of feels a little funner. So anyway, so that's pretty much everything I've been doing there. So I'll go ahead and wrap up. Again, thanks for listening. Again, totally open if again anybody wants to be a guest. That could be another StarOS community member who just wants to talk about the week in review. Love to talk to other content creators, builders, StarOS team members. Again, talk about things that are interesting, but you don't have to get into alpha. And then again, just promoting the things I'm doing in StarOS. So again, please go to intergalacticherald.com, have my StarOS kind of getting started guide, some directories on other Star Atlas resources from builders list to content creators to tools, and then the guild directory. If you're interested in any Star Atlas merch, I have my store at intergalacticgear.com. Just a few mugs right now, a couple wall art, but hopefully as time permits, we'll be extending that. But I do have a merch survey. And again, if you're a Star Atlas gamer, not interested in joining guild, but nevertheless want to hang out with other gamers, trying to get a community built around that called intergalacticcoalition.com. It will be a paid community, but that's to help offset the cost of the community software. You can go to intergalacticcoalition.com to take a look at that. And that's pretty much it for the week in review. Thanks for listening. This is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Have a great week ahead.